What's going on, everyone? Happy Monday to everyone. Welcome to the Monday edition of the Pandemic Update for Monday, June 19th, 2023. That's right, today is Juneteenth. Happy Juneteenth Day to everyone and everyone who celebrates Juneteenth. If you notice here, we are back at home. No more on the road pandemic updates, and we are back to doing the daily pandemic update, at least for the next 2 weeks. Well, almost next 2 weeks. And then, yes, another trip comes, but again, I'm bringing you along with me on that trip as well. More air quality reviews. I do have a couple places that you're going to see on that trip. And I think in that one, there will be pandemic updates. They won't be daily, but there will be at least some pandemic updates. I'll be able to continue it for that one. Starting off today with India. That's where we want to start off with. Jumped ahead of myself there. India's active COVID cases dropped to 1,910, and that means they added just only 63 new cases. I've checked multiple websites to see about deaths. Sometimes it's hard. They won't tell you what the deaths are. They'll just say an updated number, but they won't say if that added to the number. And I'm not seeing any new deaths added in India today. So that is some good news. Then we come over to this. This has to do with New Brunswick, Canada. And this is not good news at all. We've heard about strokes with COVID before, and here's another one. After New Brunswick's deadliest year, COVID-related strokes and heart attacks are in the spotlight. An estimated 9,288 people died in New Brunswick in 2022, a 14.5% increase over 2021. So yes, it actually increased there. It says here, we're going to read some of this. Haley Jones is 32 and struggling with cardiac problems that developed after she came down with COVID-19 last December. My heart rate was going up as high as 200. I was very short of breath. I couldn't walk and talk at the same time, said the stay-at-home mother of 3 from her home in New Brunswick. So yes, this is something that we've seen several times. We've read several studies on this. And to be honest, it's concerning in multiple ways. Number one, the strokes are concerning. Number two, New Brunswick saw an increase in deaths. This is, the vaccine's out. And COVID, yet we know the vaccine is not fully preventing transmission. Then you have these post-COVID issues that can happen. And look at this here. Deaths, again, 9,288 people died in 2022 there. That's higher than pre-vaccine year. I mean, it's just truly concerning. Moving on to this. Erie hospitals confident they can pivot if a COVID-19 surge occurs. And this is dealing with Erie, Pennsylvania. Here's the main headline. I don't understand this. Erie health officials not worried about tracking COVID-19 despite the lack of daily case totals. Here in Pennsylvania, this is referring to Erie, Pennsylvania. Yes, we don't track. I don't know what they track in Pennsylvania anymore, but the weekly updates have stopped. Have we gone to a monthly update? I don't think we're even doing that now. It's just totally ridiculous. And to say that, oh, we don't need to track the numbers anymore despite the fact that, COVID's still out there. Okay, we get it. There is wastewater, but we still need as much data as possible. You cannot get an accurate read on this virus just simply by going only with wastewater, because we've seen people, I've had comments from people in very low wastewater areas where there's, low number of COVID in the wastewater, not number of sites, but low spread of COVID being detected by wastewater, and they're telling me, oh no, our whole family of 4 or 5 has tested positive for COVID. I mean, it's happening. And that's why we need as much data as possible. All right, bouncing around here a little bit, we're going to move over to New Zealand now. We talked about New Brunswick, now New Zealand. Here's the COVID deaths for New Zealand. Look at 2020, 2021, then you come to 2022. Look at this. New Zealand was very strict with their COVID policies early on. They really did an excellent job at preventing COVID deaths. They did an excellent job at preventing cases. They got vaccinated. Here's the problem. They had no infection. So there's no immunity whatsoever from infection. They just have immunity from the vaccine. And then there's another problem. They kind of said, let's relax everything. Let's let tourists come back. Let's let people come back to the island. They had different levels. I've spoken to people through chat groups who lived in New Zealand. and they told me about what things were like there when everything was shut down. They had different levels. And if the levels, as the levels going up, that means things were getting bad. They took it very seriously, much more seriously here in the United States. They had an actual lockdown. You really couldn't go anywhere. I mean, what was considered essential was way less number of essential things than here in the United States. So, I mean, they were really strict at keeping COVID at bay. Then they opened things up, and, well, because they don't have any infection immunity, and just only vaccination immunity, and now, no restrictions, the deaths have gone up. They're now up to 3,077 deaths, and the majority of those occurred in the last 15 months because they're just vaxxed and relaxed, I guess we'll call it. Now moving on, it is a Monday, and normally we would be looking at Walgreens, and guess what? We are looking at Walgreens, which is a surprise for more than one reason. Number one, we thought we would not be seeing this map anymore. We thought Walgreens was going to do away with it, but apparently they did not. There's a lot of states here that are missing. The white states, obviously, you can't even click on them. They don't exist in the system anymore because they're not reporting. But there's another reason why it's a surprise. Okay, it did update today, but that's a surprise because today is Juneteenth, which technically is now a federal holiday, I believe, correct? And because of that, there is another disclaimer. Moving later into the video, you will notice New York State, when we get to that, that is data from last Friday. New York State did not update today. I think they'll probably do their update tomorrow. Hopefully they'll do an update tomorrow. So let's take a look at some states here from Walgreens. We'll start off with the big one. New York State, actually, correction. Let's start off with the national number first. Hello. 24.8% is the current week positivity. 22.8% is the prior week positivity. That's a difference of 2%. And total testing is at 1,961. And that is down from the prior week, which is causing the positivity to go up. Prior week was 2,286. Now moving on to New York State. 30.8% this week, 34% last week. That's a difference of down 3.3%. Testing is up. 52 tests versus 47. That's such a tiny number of tests for a state that has millions of people. Totally ridiculous. Let's do another Northeast state. I'm seeing Rhode Island as red, and I'm curious to know why. Okay, Rhode Island did not report anything last week. This week they come in, hello, at 30%. 10 tests versus 10 tests. Then you come down here to New Jersey, which is red, and I'm deeply concerned about New Jersey at this point. Since we last did a pandemic update last week, there's some concerning stuff going on in New Jersey. As you can see here, Walgreens is continuing higher in New Jersey. Yes, I get it. The testing this week is down. Remember last week we saw testing go up? Now this week's down, but their positivity just continues to rise. 33.3% this week, 23.6% last week. That's a 9.7% increase. That's really concerning. And when we get to New Jersey dashboard, I'll show you something else that's concerning me. Kentucky's coming up red. 15.4% this week. They did not report last week. 13 tests versus 12 on the last time they did report. Georgia, look at this. Georgia is going up big time. 27.5% this week, 13.9% the prior week. That's a 13.7% increase. Testing is down quite a bit. 69 versus 101. North Carolina, testing is down this week, and the positivity rate is down this week. 14.3% this week, 20% last week. Down by 5.7%. Testing, 70 versus 75. Then we come down here to Florida, and we are seeing a rise of positivity in Florida, but because of testing. 28.9% this week, 25.2% last week. That is a difference of 3.7%. Total test is 360 versus 449, so that's why your positivity went up. And we'll just do one more here because I like to spread this out throughout the week. We'll do a couple more states tomorrow. Texas, 22.6% this week is the positivity rate. That is up by 2.8% from last week's 19.8%. And total test is 332. The prior week was 359. All right, moving on to our next bit of data here. And this is from wastewater. BioBot, as you can see here, there is a rise in wastewater wastewater in the Northeast now. And also the Great Lakes is starting to show a sign of possibility of rising soon. It is flattening right now, but it is showing a sign of rising soon. The West Coast has flattened out, and the Southeast, don't ask me why. The Southeast is dropping. Then when we come over here, I'm going to move myself to the left. Let's take a look at the CDC wastewater sites. New sites, 131. 0 to 19% is 729. 20 to 39% is at 350 sites. 40% to 59% COVID detected is at 105 sites. The orange, 60 to 79% COVID detected, is at 23. And just 4 sites are in the red, which is very high COVID detected, at 80 to 100%. Alrighty, moving myself back to my normal spot on the right. Latest variants. We'll get an update on the variant situation from the CDC on, I believe, Friday. And I suspect we may see that FU variant that I've been mentioning show up. If it does not show up in this update, I assume it's going to show up in the one 2 weeks from this Friday, because it is starting to be detected in the United States. XBB 1.5, 39.9%. XBB 116, 18.2%. XBB 191, 12.5%. XBB 116.1, 8.4%. XBB 192, 8.4%. XBB 2.3, 6%. XBB 3%. XBB 151, 1.6%. FD.2, 0.9%. XBB 1.5.10, 0.8%. CH 1.1, 0.2%. And finally, BQ 1.1 is at 0.1%. Yes, my friends, it is variant soup. There are a lot of different variants out there. Alright, now we take a look at this. It says U.S. change in percent of emergency department visits diagnosed as COVID-19 from prior week. And we should see 2 places rising. We see rising in Washington, D.C., and we see rises in Delaware, which is concerning at this time. The rest of the country is either dropping or stable for the latest update. We have nothing to report on today in this day in COVID history. Moving on now to New Jersey, which is concerning. Take a look at this. New Jersey now has 222 people in the hospital. That number's been rising. And not only did that number rise, take a look over there at the hospitals reporting. I'll highlight it. 64 out of 70. So there's 6 hospitals that did not report, and yet they're still now up to 222 hospitalizations. And we know if New Jersey hospitalizations are rising, cases should be rising too. We've been watching the wastewater in New Jersey. Let's go back to that for a second. Let's go back to wastewater for a second. I know we showed this in the Sunday wastewater video, but I do want to point this out. We're watching New Jersey wastewater. We have multiple sites here that are reporting moderate levels, moderate to near high levels. So this, my friends, is concerning. Going back to the New Jersey dashboard, 10 people are on ventilators and in the ICU, 20 people in the ICU. Again, this is with 6 hospitals not reporting. Taking a look at the EMS call total for Philadelphia County from Sunday, and there were 726 EMS incidents. That to you may seem like a high number, and it is. I'll be honest, that is a high number, because sometimes it can go down to 650s, sometimes it can go a lot higher, but it's not over 800. And once we get close to 800 or over 800, that's when I start hearing alarm bells going off in my mind, thinking, okay, what's going on in the city? And late last week we had that day that was well over 900 calls in one day. I believe that was back on, hang on, let's pull it up. I believe that was back on Friday's report where there were over 900 calls. And yeah, nope, not the Friday report. Let's see here. Here it is. Back on Wednesday, June 14th of last week. There were 960 calls reported in one day we had in this city. I mean, that's just truly alarming. When you have a day that's close to 1,000 ambulance calls, I get it. We're just over 1.5 million people. But again, that's almost 1,000 EMS calls in a single day. Just totally ridiculous. So luckily, we weren't that high today, but again, over 700, so that is quite a few calls. Taking a live look in at Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, we do have some calls going on, but again, I'll give you a little disclaimer here. it's almost 7 o'clock at night that we are going through. As a matter of fact, it is 7 o'clock at night. So normally, yes, it starts quieting down in nighttime hours. The busiest time of the day is from about 10:30 in the morning up until about 6 o'clock. From my experience, from what I have seen, here's Chester County. Not too busy there, but you know what? For this time of night, that's a lot of fall and lift assist. Wow. I did not pull up the B&O weekly report. I don't know if they did it or not. I'll try and add that into tomorrow's video. So sorry for not showing that. Again, New York State has not updated. We will get an update, hopefully, out of them tomorrow. The previous update was 350 cases and 3.5% positivity, with 4.2% being the 7-day positivity average. Taking a look here at their hospitalizations, 528 people were hospitalized, 49 people in the ICU. Ending today on some international data. South Korea, cases are down 4%. Their deaths are up 3%. Around the world as a total, cases are down 31%. Deaths are down 48%. Australia, cases down 49%. Deaths down 27%. France, cases down 27%. Deaths down 36%. Spain, cases down 29%. Deaths down 29%. Italy, cases down 53%. Deaths down 61%. The Philippines, cases are down 35%. Deaths are down 80%. A note about the Philippines. There is a new variant that's circulating there. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that, I think, tomorrow. We're going to do some research. I didn't have time to do that today, but there's a new variant circulating there. I think it's the FE variant. Someone did bring it to my attention on Twitter, and I love it when you guys do that. Follow me at Data Report. Send me messages. Send me whatever you find that you think needs to be reported on. I will do that. All right, let's do one more here. How about Mexico? What's going on there? Down 54% for cases and down 49% on deaths. Alrighty, folks, that does it for today's pandemic update. As noted, there will be a daily pandemic update every day this week. We're even going to do Sunday because, hey, we missed this past weekend. I owe you guys some videos, and it's going to continue through at least late next week. Then I do have some things going on, and I will be going away for 2 weeks next time. Yes, you heard me correctly. 2 weeks, very socially distanced, up at my relative's summer home up in Maine. And like I said, I think I'll be able to bring you guys along with me for pandemic updates on that one and some other stuff as well. So I will see you all again tomorrow for another edition of the Pandemic Update. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to my channel down below. And as always, I will see you all again next time. Stay safe, everyone, and thanks for watching.